Alright, everybody, it's Severe Storm Filmer back with another weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we're going to be going through the model runs full of big storms and potentially cool downs in the upcoming week. So we're going to take you through that right here. First, taking a look at what's going on personally today across the United States. We're dealing with this activity of showers and thunderstorms across much of the northern perhaps central plains there, and we're also seeing some severe weather down here in the southern plains. We're also seeing some showers and thunder activity across over the Ohio Valley as well. As we take this into, let's say, tomorrow afternoon, we're seeing a pretty good portion of the eastern two-thirds of the country dealing with shower and thunderstorm activity here. Pretty isolated in nature, but we can't rule out severe weather, especially down here to portions of the Arklatex region there. But by the time we take it into our Tuesday afternoon, we're seeing this new low pressure system. We're likely going to be seeing more shower and thunderstorm activity here becoming more frequent over a good chunk of this region, mainly isolated again, but we could see some more widespread activity here as we take it in toward Wednesday. Like I said, there's that low again. We could be seeing a bit more widespread thunderstorm activity, and I mean linear thunderstorm activity. Taking it towards Wednesday evening, that low is still sitting here. We have a very strong, potent cold front with very cold air ushering in behind it here. We have pretty bad thunderstorms along this boundary. I wouldn't be surprised if we had some sort of MCS or derecho that happened here on Wednesday, but we're just going to have to still figure that out, still have time and room for things to change in the modeling, so just know that. But by the time we take it in towards Thursday, we're seeing this low centered over the Canadian border here, and it's basically going to stall out, and we're likely still seeing shower and thunderstorm activity, not as potent as we're going to see on Wednesday, but still there as it moves into the northeast. And by the time we take it into, let's say, our Saturday afternoon time frame, we're seeing isolated thunderstorm activity, if that, across portions of the central plains, and we're seeing the showery activity across portions of the northeast. Pretty gloomy at that over the course of the next week or so. And let's take it in towards next Sunday as well. We're seeing all of the shower activity across the Ohio Valley and the Northeast prevailing, and we're seeing some thunderstorm activity, some pretty bad thunderstorms perhaps there in the Central Plains. We're going to have to see how that sets up. But by the time we go into our Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, things become pretty quiet across the United States, but we're seeing basically small pockets of thunderstorm and shower activity, a pretty big chunk of dry air across pretty much all of the United States, except for those areas where we're perhaps anticipating at least some thunderstorm activity as we take it in towards Wednesday the 12th, the end of the model run. We're seeing this action down here in Texas, as well as Louisiana there. We're also seeing that activity perhaps. But up here in the northern plains, we're also seeing that activity, as well as the showery activity and some cooler anomalies continue to persist over the northeast. All right, now that we're done taking a look at our precipitation anomaly, let's have a look at our temperature anomaly as we take it in towards Wednesday afternoon. We're seeing a pretty substantial ridge over much of this region here. We're only seeing that cold air trying to pull in there, trying to usher in there, trying to pour in there. And then let's take it in towards Friday the 7th time frame here. We're seeing the jet stream doing something very weird, kind of inverting itself like that, where we have two areas of ridging going on. So we have one area over here, positive PNA, and we have a negative PNA happening over here with that cold air trying its best to pour in very dramatically. A dramatic cool down expected there indeed as we head into late this week across the Ohio Valley and pretty much the northern plains. Now let's take it in towards next weekend here. We're still seeing that very weird jet pattern continuing there, with cold air continuing to pour in, maybe into the southeast. There we could see some of those cooler anomalies there. That'll be something to watch, and then it'll take it into our early next week time frame. We're still seeing that very weird defined jet stream pattern where we have basically a locked-in trough over much of the northern U.S. here, and we have these warmer anomalies on the southern portion of the U.S., aside from the northeast there. But let's take it in towards Tuesday the 11th here. At this point, we have some pretty cold air coming in very well at this point. Pretty good plunge of cool air, especially across the northeast and Ohio Valley for this time of year. Pretty substantial cool down as well as we take it in towards Wednesday the 12th time frame. We're still seeing a very, very weird jet pattern taking place. We have a pretty big trough, substantial trough digging in across much of the United States with opening cold air to pour into much of that region. But as we take a look at our mid-level jet pattern, you can basically see by the time we take it in, let's say towards our Wednesday afternoon, we are seeing that low pressure system right there, and we're seeing that really weird inverted jet stream type thing happening with that cool air pouring in. However, we have a high pressure system stationed over the Pacific Southwest, and that's allowing for a northwest flow to take place. All right, so that's when you could get those complexes of thunderstorms, and that's why I had the mention of an MCS or derecho, perhaps, as we head into that time frame. That is exactly why I said that, and I also want to point it out that is a very potent negatively tilted trough digging in there. So Wednesday could be pretty substantial for the Ohio Valley, but let's take it in towards Thursday, where this trough continues to dig in. We still have this continued very weird substantial jet stream pattern with cold air just free to enter across the Great Lakes region. We're still seeing this high pressure blocked ridge here. Could we have a threat for severe weather across the East Coast? We certainly could, but it's going to be much more isolated here. And then by the time we take it in towards the weekend time frame, we're seeing that high pressure ridge backing down here, and we could have perhaps some lower pressure across portions of the Pacific Southwest. That could potentially be our first tropical system to watch out for in the Pacific, but it's too early to nail down those details right now. But let's take it in towards Sunday the 9th here, where we have pretty much a ridge dominating over much, if not all, of the United States. We're still seeing this troughing taking place. However, we're seeing some drier air taking place there, as you saw on the models as we head into that time frame. Let's take it towards the end of the model run, Wednesday the 12th. We're seeing an interesting pattern setting back up with that derecho pattern there. That would set up that northwest flow pattern potentially regime there. So we're going to need to keep all eyes on that. And the models like to punch out another trough trying to trying to pour in cooler air across this region. Very wavy jet stream at that there, to say the least there. We basically have two jet streams that we're going to be contending with. We're contending with this northwest flow regime that we're going to be contending with. That's the Pacific jet. And up here, we're dealing with the polar jet. All right, we're dealing with that jet stream up there. That polar jet typically tries to stay confined to the north, but we're still seeing divots there. So that's going to continue to bring those mesoscale convective systems and derechos potential to any of these areas here, especially confined to the northern plains and down into the Ohio Valley. I wouldn't be surprised to see that there. But let's take a peek at our precipitation totals all the way from today, June 2nd, into June 13th. All right, so it's a pretty widespread area here, all the way from Minnesota all the way down to Texas, where we have upwards of 3 to 5 inches of rain being possible there. And over here into portions of the West Coast, I'm seeing a bit of a lull in the precipitation from now into the second week of June. However, we still have some snowfall and perhaps some rainfall to contend with there. So we're not totally done with precipitation there. We will still have some of that, but as you guys can see, we also have an isolated area of higher totals across portions of the Northeast. Well, taking a look lastly at our snow totals across the United States, you guys can see we're still seeing snowfall, some pretty unseasonable snowfall from the mountain terrain areas or regions of Western Canada there. And we can also have perhaps a little bit of a dusting of snow into the Rocky Mountains there, into the higher plains. And we could also see some dustings here from portions of Ontario up into the Greenland region there. And we could also see some higher totals perhaps into that northern Canada region as well. And lastly, on this video, the last thing I wanted to show you on this video is the Storm Prediction Center outlook, meaning the chance for severe weather within 25 miles of a given point. We have this enhanced risk centered over portions of Nebraska, northern Kansas, and we have a very big border-wide slight risk. That means from Canada all the way down into Mexico. That includes portions of central and northern Texas, western Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, overlaid by that enhanced risk there. You're still in it, of course. Western Iowa, eastern South Dakota, western Minnesota, and eastern North Dakota there. And we also, of course, have that marginal risk surrounding that there as well. So anywhere in these risk areas, except for the general thunder risks expanded all the way over here, could see the potential for severe weather in a 25 miles of a given location. Now let's take a peek at our day 2 severe thunderstorm forecast, as we have a huge general thunderstorm highlighted area across much of the United States tomorrow. Probably like 70 or 80% of the country at that covered in that general thunderstorm risk. And we also have this marginal risk extending from Texas all the way out to Wisconsin. That includes Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Illinois, and maybe even southern Wisconsin to get in there as well as this little slight risk, basically just monitored and focused in the Arklatex region. So that, of course, includes northern Texas, southern Oklahoma, southwestern Arkansas, and northwestern Louisiana. By the time we get into our Tuesday, things begin to kind of calm down in terms of severe weather, but we do have this big general thunderstorm expansion here from Canada all the way down to really Florida, as well as this broad marginal risk there for that line of storms that could develop there. And then by the time we go basically into the 4 to 8 day outlook. I'm not going to show you those because they say predictability too low. But one thing interesting about the 4 to 8 day outlooks is that there is no outlook for day 4 yet. There probably will be by the time we go into tomorrow in the probably the Ohio Valley region, like right here, or even a bit further west, maybe encompassing this region. All right, or we could perhaps have some sort of slight risk in there to acknowledge that higher MCS chance there as well. Again, mesoscale convective system is the key word for our threat on Wednesday, and Wednesday's threat could be a little interesting, so make sure you stay tuned to the channel so you don't miss out on any severe weather updates slash that. Have a great night, everyone. Make sure you like and subscribe to not avoid any important weather details.